How you doing, everybody? I want to do a quick video here on who's bred to win the 2018 Belmont Stakes. Now, I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. Now, we have the bottom, Blended Citizen. Blended Citizen is his father's proud citizen. He's not bred very well to win this race at all, looking at his background, in my opinion. Next, we're going to go to Restoring Hope. Restoring Hope, his grandfather, Tappet, was the father of last year's Belmont winner, Tappet. That's about all he has going for him. His other grandfather is Stormcat. His father's Giant's Causeway. They're great for winning some turf races and some shorter dirt races, but not necessarily this long, grueling Belmont Stakes. Then I have Justify, surprisingly. Justify, his father's Scat Daddy. No experience with long races. He was injured in the Kentucky Derby. Never even got a chance to go anywhere near a mile and a half. His grandfather, Ghostzapper, one of the fastest horses in history, but Ghostzapper didn't go a mile and a half either, so there's nothing to say that Justify is really bred to go this distance. He's just bred to have some speed. He certainly does not have the speed that Ghostzapper had. So he's not really bred to go and win this race. Next, I'm going to go with Free Drop Billy. Free Drop Billy, his father, Union Rags, won the Belmont Stakes. He won it with a very slow time. It was 2 minutes and 30 seconds or so. But Free Drop Billy, beating his father, won the Belmont Stakes. It put him a little bit notch ahead, but because it wasn't very fast of a time, he doesn't have much else going for him in his background. He's not really bred very well to win this race today, or on Saturday. But he does have a Belmont winner as his father, so he's got something in the pedigree. Vino Rosso, his father's Curlin. Curlin probably could have won the Belmont had he gotten a little bit better of a ride, better strategy. But he doesn't have too much else going beyond that as far as going a long distance like this and doing it very well. But his father is Curlin, so that does mean something. Now we have Bravado next. Bravado's father's Awesome Again. Breeders' Cup Classic winner, a mile and a quarter. However, nothing in his background really says that mile and a half is really there. So I have him next, and I have coming up after that Tenfold. Now Tenfold, another son of Curlin. Same story with Tenfold as we have with Vino Rosso. However, his grandfather on the other side of the family is Tappet, as we know. So Tappet, adds a little bit more strength breeding-wise to Tenfold than some of these other horses, with Curlin being his father. Now, next I have Gronkowski. Now, this one's a really weird. I had to go back and forth on this one. Gronkowski was sired by Lonhro, coming out of Australia, and his grandfather's Octagonal out of New Zealand. I didn't know much about these horses. I had to do a little bit of research, and it seems that they're not really big on times, overseas for some strange reason. The fractions don't really mean too much, so I do a little bit of research to get the times. Now, these horses ran some decent races at a mile and a quarter and a mile and a half. Lonhro was an Australian champion, had some decent times at a mile and a quarter, and his father, Octagonal, was a New Zealand champion. He had some decent times at a mile and a half. However, it's on turf. It's on that weird track that they have in Australia. It's like a triangle. I don't know if any of you know too much about that track, but it's a weird track. And they run backwards, and it's just weird the way they run over there. But anyway, the horses were strong. Lonhro and his father Octagonal. Now his grandfather on the other side for Gronkowski is looking at Lucky. He was a Preakness winner, Haskell winner. So, Gronkowski got some really good breeding if you count Australian and New Zealand races as meaning something. They had strong times. They don't use Lasix over there, so that may mean even more than you think. I've seen Gronkowski run in his last race. He is a strong horse. He's not very fast, but he does have a lot of stamina, and he can build up a lot of momentum and get going. So, I mean, his breeding's pretty strong as far as going this distance. Now, granted, those horses ran on turf, and this isn't the turf. This is the dirt. It's tougher to run on dirt for the most part, and I said he's got the strength, but we'll see if he can pull it through, if he can make something happen. But it's really hard to rank this horse. I mean, if you count those Australian horses and races and running on turf and a weird track and everything is meaning something, he's the best bred to win this race. All things being equal, but all things aren't equal in horse racing. All of these factors make a difference, and that's why we talk about them. But Gronkowski has breeding in his background to go this distance, to go the 1.5 miles and to go a 1.25 miles in championship status in Australia and New Zealand. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move on here. The next one here, and he's the one I have the best bred to win this race, is Hofburg. Not too much really a fan of the horse, but his father is a Tappet, sire Tappert, as we know, last year's Belmont Stakes winner, and his grandfather on his mother's side is Touch Gold. Touch Gold, another Belmont winner in 1997. Touch Gold upset Silver Charm's Triple Crown bid in 97 for that Belmont win, and that was a pretty decent time. Wasn't one of the top ones, but Touch Gold, strong horse, got it done in the Belmont, and his father is Tappet, and that Tappet leads back to Pulpit, which leads back to AP Indy, as we talked about before. AP Indy, second fastest Belmont time. So Hofburg is really the best bred to win the race. Now, that doesn't mean everything. Just because a horse is bred well to win the race doesn't mean he's going to win it. There's a jockey aboard. There's a strategy throughout the race. We have the conditions of the race. It's lots to consider. So breeding isn't everything, but it is important. It does set the horse up with the natural talent to be able to win the race, and it's up to the jockey, the trainer, and the conditions of the race for them to get it done. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. It went a little longer than I wanted it to, but breeding is a tricky subject in horse racing, but it does have a lot of meaning, especially in the Belmont Stakes, because it's such a long race on dirt. Very few races are running 1.5 miles in the United States for this much money. This is the richest race at 1.5 miles in the United States on dirt. So that's what makes this race such a great race. It's the oldest of the Triple Crown races. So that means something as well. It's even older than the Kentucky Derby, which is the greatest horse race in the world. But that's why they go hand in hand with the Preakness to make the Triple Crown. So I got a video coming up on why it's so hard to win the Triple Crown. And we're going to finish up the rest of these videos on horses and make some picks. So hope you enjoyed this video, a little interesting twist on the breeding, the way I see it, and tune in for the next videos. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it very much.